Hey everyone, I hope you're well. This is the story about what if Naruto was detested by Leaf, had a copy bloodline and was trained by Shisui Uchiha. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. So without any further ado, let's start the what if. You four stay, only he passes, Kisame stated as he pointed at Naruto, who dismissed the man with a glance before walking past the shark-like Akatsuki member. Kisame, he began, now pass the man. Don't worry, I won't kill your little friends, though it looks like you brought them here to take me down, Kisame said with a vicious grin. I'm flattered, I just might take you up on your offer. If I find out you touch a single hair on their heads, he turned his head just slightly, his Sharingan spinning wildly out of control. I'll take yours, and with that, he disappeared. The kid has an edge, doesn't he? Karen blushed a little. He sure does, Kabuto looked at her weirdly. Incest is wrong, right? Karen sputtered and kicked the medic in his shin. It's not like that. Besides, we're not really related in the slightest. Suigetsu's eyes narrowed as he grinned. That kinda sounded like a confession to me, Karen. He only got a fist to the face as a response. Naruto walked through the thick stone doors and entered the building, jumping past a small flight of stairs and saw Itachi sitting on a throne-like chair, gazing lazily at him, only for Naruto to glare in return. I'm here to kill you, Itachi, Naruto growled. Though I guess that's just stating the obvious, Itachi nodded. Yes, I've been waiting for you to fulfill your promise on that day, he said, his Sharingan piercing Naruto's own. I've relished the thought of beating you when you were at the peak of your power, just to tear down what Shisui had done. You don't deserve to speak his name, Naruto growled out, the veins around his eyes popping out as his Sharingan turned to a lighter red. Oh? Is that the Byakugan? It seems you have developed your bloodline as I have mine, Naruto nodded. Yes, and now I can see through all of your genjutsu. I've had 3 years to master the Sharingan, Byakugan, and the ice release that I've been given. I now surpass every single Uchiha, Hyuga, and Yuki with their bloodlines. Itachi didn't seem surprised, if anything, he seemed more interested and excited. Every Uchiha? But you haven't even unlocked the advanced version, have you? Naruto's eyes widened as Itachi's eyes shifted into its unknown state. He had seen this before, but he thought it was his imagination. What is this? Naruto asked angrily. This is the power of the Manjiku Sharingan, an evolved version of the Sharingan you currently possess. There is only one way to obtain these eyes, he began as he stood up, no longer feeling the need to sit. And that's to kill your best friend, which was Shisui for me. You killed Shisui, Naruto began. For power? Itachi gave him a simple nod as Naruto rushed him, his sword out and twirling with lightning. Itachi blocked the sword strike with a kunai as he tried kicking Naruto, but the teen's Sharingan saw it coming as he jumped in the air, forming several hand seals and blew a fireball at the Uchiha, who easily evaded it by jumping back. Sloppy. Itachi commented as he met Naruto's sword with his kunai once again. I'll show you sloppy. Naruto shouted in return before lightning scattered across his body and he disappeared from view, an enhanced version of Chidori, now dubbed Raikiri, in his hand as he tried to pierce Itachi's body from behind, only to fail as the man enveloped himself in some weird orange armor that seemed to be made of chakra, it resembling a rib cage of some sort. I didn't think I'd need to pull this out so soon, Itachi commented. This Susanoo, my trump card. He turned to Naruto, the orange chakra disappearing. And it isn't even fully formed yet. Naruto's eyes widened. This thing blocked his Raikiri so easily, he hadn't even cracked it, and to say it wasn't at its full potential. I'm weak compared to you when you have those eyes, everything I throw at you is useless, Naruto said as he sheathed his sword. So I guess my only option is to, a smirk placed itself on his lips. To copy your Sharingan. Naruto rushed Itachi before he could put the Susanoo back up, and grabbed a hold of the man's shoulder, the familiar heat he hadn't felt in 3 years soaring through his system before he jumped back, his Sharingan now morphed into a sort of whirlpool, a single comma on each line. This could be bad, Itachi whispered to himself as Naruto grinned as he met Itachi's eyes. "Allow me to use your powers against you." Blood poured down Naruto's cheek in excess amounts as black flames shot towards Itachi, whose right eye turned bloodshot as his own black flames shot out. "Amaterasu!" They shouted in unison as the black flames crashed against each other with equal intensity, their eyes bleeding profusely as they grit their teeth from the strain their eyes felt. But Naruto's face twisted in a mad grin as his black flames suddenly grew more powerful, overcoming Itachi's black flames before it touched his cloak, setting it aflame. He quickly threw it off, covering his right eye as he wiped the blood away, his cheek stained slightly. "You've grown powerful," he stated. "I don't break my promises, now, allow me to avenge my sensei." A red chakra enveloped Naruto, both of his eyes bleeding slightly as a ribcage and two arms that seemed like bones enveloped Naruto. Itachi Uchiha, a large ball of lightning appeared in Naruto's hands, the lightning lighting the room up significantly. "You have my permission to die." He slammed the Susanoo hand onto the ground as it seemed like several bolts of lightning came from the ground and the two disappeared in bright light. The building was reduced to rubble and ashes, and only two people stood confidently among those ashes. Itachi Uchiha stood tall, his Sharingan eyes narrowed at Naruto, who also stood tall. I guess it wouldn't be that easy, would it?" Itachi shook his head. "Naruto Uzumaki, you are not on my level, maybe you'll die here and leave Sasuke to fight me in your stead. Then, I'll kill him and take his eyes." Naruto's Byakumanjiku Sharingan as his veins only bulged further, a single black slit going down vertically down his eyes. "You won't touch them." His skin grew lighter as his blonde hair turned light gray as it grew past his shoulders as two white tails sprouted out of his lower back. "You won't touch any of them, I won't let you hurt Sasuke, ever again." "So this isn't about revenge anymore, is it?" Itachi asked as he threw his cut-up shirt off of him, revealing his toned body. "You wish to protect your friends from me, right?" Naruto didn't answer, his fingernails turning into claws now as he glared at Itachi. "Yes," Itachi spoke, closing his eyes. "That is the path you've chosen, then this is our final battle." He opened his eyes, no longer hardened but soft as he let the tiniest of sad smiles crawl across his face. "Then come, let us fight, one last time." Naruto rushed forward, as well as Itachi as they engaged into a battle of pure taijutsu, exchanging blow for blow, Itachi blocking kicks and kneeing Naruto in return, and Naruto blocking punches and returned his own punches, as well as hitting Itachi with his two new tails. Itachi jumped back, avoiding Naruto's vicious attacks as the teen tried to hit him with the newly grown tails, hitting the ground as it unsettled the dust, making it stain the air. Itachi made a single hand sign. "Fire style, fire dragon jutsu." He shouted as a large dragon spewed out of his mouth and headed towards Naruto, who narrowed his eyes as his left eye began bleeding profusely as a vortex appeared midair, snatching the dragon midair as it suddenly disappeared. Itachi's eyes widened as recognition came into his eyes. "Impossible, you have the," he began, but was cut off as Naruto rushed forward. Itachi threw several shuriken and kunai at the curse mark enhanced boy, but it only went through him, as if he was an illusion. "You have the same eyes," he muttered before Naruto landed a punch to the face, sending him flying back as he landed right into a crumbled up wall. "Shut the hell up, you Sharingan obsessed bastard!" Naruto shouted as he rushed blindly forward, only for a sword to pierce his shoulder, but it wasn't a sword made of steel, but it was a sword made of orange chakra. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt some of his chakra drain as the curse mark on his neck disappeared. The tails faded from existence as his hair returned its normal color. "Now you are no longer infected by that snake, and now you are desperate for power," Itachi spoke as he walked calmly towards Naruto, whose eyes had widened with shock as the sudden withdrawal of power made him freeze in place. Itachi grabbed Naruto by his hair and made him look in his eyes. "How would you like to relive your tragedy of a past?" "No," Naruto whispered. Why is it so cold? Why did they throw that bucket on me? Why?" Itachi's eyes widened before a sword of ice pierced his torso. Now it's your turn to feel the cold, Naruto spoke as he stood on his feet, where Itachi collapsed to his knees. You really think I relied on that bastard's power? He spoke condescendingly. I'm surprised you thought so little of me. I don't, Itachi spoke as a single kunai went right through Naruto, a tiny hole appearing on the bottom left of his hip. Naruto screamed in pain as the Itachi that was on his knees disappeared in a flock of crows. Genjutsu, damn it! I grew cocky, Naruto breathed out as he clutched the hole in his hip. He began limping backward, trying to get away from a Susanufied Itachi, who was in an avatar figure now, Itachi standing in the middle of the Susanoo. You let go of your hatred, and that's why you lost, Itachi spoke as if it were plain and simple. You have lost your hate, so you have lost this battle. Goodbye, Naruto Uzumaki. Itachi spoke as a sword appeared in his hand, Susanoo's hand. No, 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 no. Naruto shouted over and over. It wasn't supposed to end like this, it wasn't. It wasn't. The last thing he saw was the sword piercing his chest. Naruto woke up in a plane of darkness, a small crackling sound could be heard from behind him. He turned around and saw a small fire going strongly, 3 sticks hanging right above the fire, cooking a single fish on each stick. Naruto, come sit down. He heard as he suddenly saw Kakashi sitting on a log next to the fire, and across from Kakashi was Shisui, who smiled at the blonde. Shisui, Kakashi, he spoke in awe as he drifted towards them, sitting on his own log. What are you doing here? Shisui shrugged. I have no idea, I was enjoying heaven and everything and here I am talking to you. Kakashi smiled. I think this is what we can call the plane between life and death. Are you dead, Naruto? Naruto shrugged. I don't know. The last thing I remember is Itachi stabbing me with his Susanoo sword. Shisui's eyes widened at the name of Itachi. Oh, have you surpassed him yet? Naruto shook his head. Not yet, he's so strong. I got cocky, and for that, I lost. Kakashi let out a long, drawn-out sigh. You were always cocky when you gained power. Naruto let out a small, embarrassed chuckle. Yep, but I don't know why I'm here right now. His eyes shadowed over. Maybe this is my hell. I've done terrible things in my life, unforgivable things, and now I have to face my father figures and get those disappointed looks. How about you start with what you did? Tell us all of your sins, and then we can begin. Naruto nodded as he fiddled with his fingers. Well, I killed the Hokage, Kakashi almost laughed. I killed my replacement sensei and her Anbu squad, I cut my bonds with Sasuke and Sakura, I've killed several men, women, and children in the name of Orochimaru's vessel, each came with a new jutsu or taijutsu, or an experiment that enhanced my body. He then explained his new motives for killing Itachi. Holy shit, Shisui exclaimed with a low whistle. Quite the rack up there, huh? I knew you'd betray Konoha one day, but at least you did it for a good cause? Kakashi said in a questioning tone. I want to protect Sasuke and Sakura, no matter the cost. Naruto said with a clenched fist. That's why I have to beat Itachi, that's why I have to go to the darkness and embrace it. But Naruto, Shisui began, a sad smile on his face. You weren't made for the darkness, you were made for the light. Naruto shook his head as he stood up, his whole body glowing. No, I can protect everyone from the shadows, I'll become a villain if it means protecting those two. He grinned at Kakashi and Shisui, who marveled at him for some reason. That's my ninja way. Naruto, Kakashi began, giving him a thumbs up. I believe in you, go kick some ass for me. I'm sorry, little brother, Shisui said with a sad smile. But I hope you emerge from this darkness one day, and realize that there is a better way of doing things. Goodbye, sensei. He spoke before disappearing in a flash of light. Naruto opened his eyes to Itachi towering over him in his Susanoo. Oh, so you're awake? Good. He spoke before removing the sword from Naruto's chest. I wanted you conscious so I could watch you scream as you died. Naruto closed his eyes and grinned. No, I won't die here. I have too much to protect, and I won't let myself lose to. He screamed as red chakra, a mix of the Kyuubi's foul chakra and his Susanoo, enveloped him before he smashed a fist into Itachi's Susanoo chin, making him fall back. Naruto stood up, his avatar's body having armor surrounding it as he stood on the Susanoo's own 2 feet, a dagger in the left hand and a chakra rod on the right. He clashed the two together and pointed it at Itachi. I will kill you today, Itachi Uchiha, and make you regret the day you fucked with any of those I love. He screamed as thunder sent a ripple through the rain as a lightning bolt hit Naruto's Susanoo, energizing it further. With the lightning, came rain. I will end your life, and all of the nightmares you bring, all of the hatred you create, and all the suffering you put Sasuke through. Today is the day you die. The lightning that surrounded the Susanoo traveled to the dagger and chakra rod, the two glowing a bright blue light as Naruto added his own chakra to the mix, making it fester and spark into a large bolt of chakra-enhanced lightning, it turning slightly red due to the Kyuubi's chakra. Finally, Itachi began as he closed his eyes. A successor for my burden, he deactivated his Susanoo and stood still. Naruto put the rest of his chakra into this one bolt, struggling to keep his Susanoo active. I'll call this the perfect bolt, now die. He screamed as the lightning stopped sparking suddenly as it all moved to the chakra rod, glowing so bright Naruto had to squint before it shot right at Itachi in a perfect spiral-shaped lighting bolt as it pierced through the Uchiha's chest, hitting his heart on its way as it hit the ground behind Itachi, making an explosion that enveloped Naruto as well, his Susanoo deactivating as he was hit by his own jutsu. Itachi laid in a large crater, dead, his body covered in burns, a thin layer of chakra protecting his eyes. No more, Naruto muttered before he collapsed face first into the dirt, unconscious. Over here. A familiar voice shouted. A few pairs of footsteps could be heard as suddenly a whole Anbu team appeared, as well as a beaten-up Sasuke and Sakura stood next to Naruto, their eyes wide. He did it, Sasuke whispered in awe. He killed Itachi. Sakura couldn't believe it either, he had single-handedly defeated Itachi Uchiha. His real dream came true, she uttered in a whisper, just loud enough for Sasuke to hear. He finally killed the man who was the source of both of your suffering. A couple of Anbu sealed Itachi's body away before they picked Naruto up as well. What will happen to him? Sasuke asked in a worried tone. The Anbu turned to him and in a dark, scary tone, spoke. He will most likely be executed for the crimes he committed against Konoha, but that's before we harvest his cells so we can duplicate his bloodline. Sasuke and Sakura's eyes widened in horror before the Anbu disappeared in a shushin with Naruto's body. Oh no, was all Sasuke could get out before the two ran back to Konoha as quickly as possible. A man with an orange mask sat in a tree, having observed the entire fight. To have Kamui as well as Amaterasu, I must admit, I'm jealous. The masked man said as he watched the leaf ninja leave. A plant-like figure erupted from the ground beneath him. Why don't we kill them and take the boy and Itachi's eyes? The masked man waved him off. Patience is key, Zetsu. I need Naruto Uzumaki to be at his lowest for us to move, and so far, it seems as if he had just been boosted a level or two up. He stood up and began walking away from the battlefield. But Konoha alone will take him several levels down, then we shall enact our plan, okay? Of course, Madara-sama. Naruto woke up, a blinding light making him squint as he tried to move, only finding himself tied down, his movement completely restricted. What is this? He asked, groaning as he felt a wave of nausea attack his body. Where am I? You're in Konoha, a female voice hissed. Well fuck me, he said as he closed his eyes, trying to fight off the headache that was coming closer. I don't want to die here, the woman let out a low laugh. Oh, you won't die, not yet at least. We have some questions to ask you, and then we're going to extract some things from you, and then you can die. The lights suddenly turned off, making Naruto's vision go black as he could no longer see things. You've done a lot of bad things, Naruto Uzumaki, a lot of bad things. The woman purred as a kunai slid across his whiskered cheek, drawing a small river of blood from his face, but to Naruto's credit, he didn't even flinch. Trust me, I know. He spoke. But I don't regret doing a lot of those things. So how about you either kill me now or be killed by me later? His vision saw through the dark now as he peered at the woman. Those are your only two options. He recognized the woman, it being the same woman who proctored the second exam during the Chunin exams all those years back. She hadn't changed a bit. Oh, it seems your pair has only grown since I last saw you. Didn't the bastard kick your ass, and in response, you destroyed a rather large section of my beautiful forest? I did. But I killed him a few weeks back, it was funny watching him die. He spoke as he met Anko's eyes, the woman taking a step back in shock. And then I killed Itachi, who was twice as strong as Orochimaru was, so release me or die later. Anko was shaking. It was Naruto thought was fear, but then she burst into laughter. Wow, that's fucking hilarious. His own little vessel killed him. She suddenly grabbed Naruto by his hair and yanked him up, making him face her as she glared murderously at him. For that, I'll go a little bit easier on your torture, okay? I say go full force, because I'm the reason you failed to kill your master. You'll never surpass him, she grinned before stabbing the kunai in his shoulder, causing him to grunt in pain. And you'll never get your revenge, because I killed him, not you. You shut the hell up. She screamed before stabbing the kunai in his thigh, twisting it as she did so as Naruto let out another grunt of pain. Anko, that's enough. An authoritative voice spoke as a woman with blonde hair and two pigtails came strolling in, a green vest-like shirt over her gray and black tunic, showing off a well-developed bust with a crystal necklace around her neck, a diamond dot on her forehead. Leave, I wish to speak to the prisoner alone. Anko snarled, but obeyed the woman as the door slammed behind her. So, you're the infamous Naruto Uzumaki, huh? She asked politely as she sat down in front of Naruto. You know the last Hokage who was alone with me died, right? The woman rose an eyebrow. Yes, but I'm not a feeble old man who is too trusting of an unstable Jinchuriki, she said simply. My name is Tsunade Senju, the fifth Hokage. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I don't give a shit. He spat out, glaring at the woman. You should watch the way you talk to me, I could kill you with a snap of a finger, or a flick of one if you prefer. She said, her tone even and filled with confidence. Yeah right, the weakest of the Sannin, who do you think you are to threaten the likes of me? He spoke angrily as the slug Sannin didn't even flinch. Listen, kid, I'm here to propose something, okay? You're going to die, that's guaranteed. Now, I can make your last days ones of comfort, or ones of complete agony, your choice. I already told you, if you guys don't kill me right now, I will kill you all myself. He said between gritted teeth, his dark blue eyes meeting the golden honey eyes that the Senju had. Do you have the power to back that up? You haven't fully recovered from the fight with Itachi Uchiha yet, so you can't possibly take on every ninja in the village. You have a seal that was designed to steal your chakra at all times. Tell me, Uzumaki, how do you think this will play out? Naruto looked at the ground for a second, his Sharingan twisting into its Mangekyo form as he faded out of his restraints and stood up, rubbing his wrist slightly. I copied the Mangekyo Sharingan from Itachi before he died, even with half of my chakra gone, he said as a tag fell off of his back. I can still beat the strongest in the village, that being you, right? Instead of panicking, or freaking out, Tsunade sat calmly. I know who you are, Naruto Uzumaki, I know you hold no true ill will against Konoha, you killed the old man because he wronged you, Naruto nodded. Of course, he did. He kept me an orphan, kept me out on the streets so your stupid villagers could torment me. He kept me alone on purpose. He deserved to die, so I killed him. He shouted passionately, chakra swirling around him as he took a step forward, but once again, Tsunade did not move. Why aren't you moving? Aren't you angry at me? Scared of me? Intimidated? He asked in a confused tone. She rose her left eyebrow slightly. Should I be? Of course, Naruto spoke as he lunged towards the woman, only to fall through the image as she suddenly shattered into thousands of shards of what seemed like crystals. Genjutsu. Interesting, so you would have killed me. A voice echoed out. I guess you'll stay here without food nor water. Let's see how long your Uzumaki genes can carry you, shall we? And with that, the light turned off and Naruto was left in darkness. Naruto didn't know how long the cycle has continued. No food, no water, only the lights coming on momentarily to blind him before multiple cuts appeared on his body, probably from that Anko woman, but when he felt for the ground, he could never find a drop of his blood. He could no longer access his chakra, most likely several chakra suppressors were plastered onto his body, and he couldn't break them, nor cut them off. It was quite the torment. He couldn't sleep, they wouldn't let him, always busting into the room and cutting him, taking his blood, and then leaving him to lay on the ground, his cuts already healing. Was this how he was going to die? It must have been several days, maybe a week or two, he couldn't tell. All he could tell was that his stomach hungered for food, and his mouth thirst for water, it being drier than the desert in Suna. It was utter hell for him. And Orochimaru talking his head off the entire time wasn't helping either, which was weird because he could have sworn Itachi had gotten rid of the curse mark, which he first thought had the visions of Orochimaru had come from, but he was wrong. Oh? I think they're coming again to get some more of your juicy blood, Orochimaru hissed, only his snake-like eyes being visible in the dark, Naruto's pale, blue eyes meeting Orochimaru's own weakly. Pedo, he got out as the door to his room opened, the lights cutting on, making Naruto close his eyes, accepting his fate as of now. Holy fuck, a familiar voice said as they caught sight of Naruto. It was Sasuke. I thought Tsunade-sama said they were treating him humanely, Sakura said sadly as Naruto felt himself put on his feet and sat into a chair. Naruto, can you hear us? He slowly opened his eyes, squinting as he caught sight of Sasuke and Sakura, looking at him with a mix of pity and sadness. What are you doing here? He slurred out before the smell of food hit his nose. His eyes opened completely as he caught sight of the steaming ramen with a cup of water. He instantly dug in savagely, eating it vigorously before grabbing the cup of water and drinking it in one gulp. His eyes then widened as he threw up, his stomach not used to having this much food at once so quickly. You have to take it slowly, Dobe. Sasuke said sadly as he placed another bowl of ramen and a cup of water on the table in front of Naruto, who wiped his mouth with his sleeve. You knew I'd eat it quickly, huh, Sasuke? Sasuke shook his head. No, but I knew you would want seconds. Naruto nodded thankfully as he slowly ate his ramen, making sure not to eat it like a pig would its slop. He drank the last of his water and met both Sakura and Sasuke's gazes, feeling better a little. What are you doing here? He saw their sadness and his eyes fell to the empty bowl of ramen. Final meal, right? Sakura's eyes watered a little bit, but she smiled through the pain and closed her eyes and nodded. Yeah, we're to escort you to the public execution, or the Anbu to do the escorting at least, Naruto nodded as he stood up. I see, okay. He closed his eyes, a small smile appearing on his face as he met Sasuke's eyes. I killed Itachi, for both of us. Sasuke smiled sadly at him. Yeah, I know. I'm to get his ashes soon, Naruto nodded as he held his arms out, his wrist connecting as he met Sasuke's eyes. Put those cuffs in your pocket on me, please. He requested. Sasuke looked startled but nodded nonetheless as he cuffed Naruto, several paper tags on them. How much longer do we have? About 30 seconds, Sakura answered. Naruto nodded before taking a deep breath. I don't regret what I did, he spoke, shocking both of them. I'd do it 1,000 more times if it even meant that this outcome would happen each time. This is for the best, I'm glad to have met both of you, my dream is complete. Are they? Orochimaru asked at Naruto's side, but was ignored. As long as you die with a smile on your face, then I am happy, Sasuke said, noticing the happy look on Naruto's face before the two jonin led the criminal out of his cell and down the hall, where 6 Anbu awaited them. "I'll see you outside, Naruto." Sasuke spoke. "Goodbye, Naruto-kun," Sakura said as she pecked him on the cheek, tears streaming freely down her face. Naruto's eyes widened at the feeling of her lips on his cheek. "Don't worry, we'll meet again, one day," Naruto said before they hugged the blonde but then left, sending their sad smiles in his direction. The moment the door shut, a single tear rolled down Naruto's cheek. "It's time to go," an Anbu whispered softly. Naruto nodded as they walked out, 3 Anbu on each side of Naruto. There was a clear path to a wooden stage, where he would be killed. The Hokage, Tsunade Senju, stood on the said stage, her arms crossed. A man with white hair and a large scroll on his back stood next to her, a look of despair on his face. The civilians had made clear of the path, but were all sending Naruto death glares, muttering words under his breath. "About time, I told the third he should have been put to death, and now he killed the third. Demons don't belong in this world. I hope he was tortured enough. Good riddance, scum. My parents were right all along, he is a monster." But Naruto stood tall, his face adopting an emotionless facade as he walked up the stairs to the stage, approaching a small white circle and falling to his knees, but his head still stood tall. "Naruto Uzumaki, you are," Tsunade began, but was stopped as Naruto coughed. "What? My last name is Namikaze, the same as the 4th Hokage's, please use that." Tsunade's eyes widened momentarily, but she nodded. "Naruto Namikaze, you are hereby sentenced to death for the assassination of the 3rd Hokage, committing treason and conspiring against Konoha, the murder of several Anbu operatives and your own sensei, Yugao Yuzuki, and several more charges of murder that have been swept under the rug by the 3rd Hokage, but you will stand for them here. You will be put to death by beheading." An Anbu with a sword came right behind Naruto, awaiting the Hokage's command. Tsunade, the white-haired man, began. "This is Minato's son, we can't kill him." Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the man. "Shut up, Jiraiya, it doesn't matter who or what he came from, he's guilty of all of these charges, he killed Sensei." She hissed angrily. "He's getting everything he deserves." "She's right, you know," Naruto spoke out, surprising the man named Jiraiya. "No matter what someone comes from, guilty is guilty." "I'm trying to save your life here," Jiraiya whispered. "Just shut up." "No," Naruto said, surprising the 2 elders even further. "I want to die. My dreams have been accomplished, Itachi is dead, and Sasuke and Sakura are safe, I'm fine with everything going on right now, I won't fight." "You that want to die?" Jiraiya asked, shocked to the core, not expecting these words to come from the Jinchuriki. He nodded. "Yep," Naruto said in a chipper tone. "I know, edgy and shit, but I've wanted to die for a long time, but I never got the chance, because I had to complete my dreams." "They aren't completed yet," Orochimaru spoke, inspecting his nails. "Akatsuki still thrives, remember me talking to you about that?" Naruto's eyes widened momentarily, but he shook his head. "They'd be fine. The only thing I'm sad about is not dying like a badass, that'd be cool." "He's insane," Tsunade murmured but gestured to Naruto. "Stand up and say your last words." Naruto did as ordered and stood up, looking at the crowd. "Hello, old friends," he met a lot of stares from his former classmates. "It's been a while, huh? I haven't seen you all since I made Gaara go crazy and killed your Hokage." He shouted gleefully, getting boos in return. "Oh, you can all go to hell," he shouted. "All you did was treat me like shit, so fuck all of you bitches. Do you think I care what a nobody thinks? I'm stronger than all of you, I don't have to care what you think." He smirked as he laughed a little. "I regret not burning this shithole to the ground when I had the chance, but that's enough about me." He turned to Tsunade. "I'm ready now." He got back into the white circle and got back on his knees. "You're quite the brat," Tsunade said with a smirk. "If you weren't a criminal I bet we'd be friends," Naruto shrugged. "Perhaps, I'm ready now. Let's go," He saw Tsunade nod and then looked at the Anbu behind him before everything went black. "What are you doing, you brat?" The Kyuubi shouted at Naruto, shaking the sewer water that Naruto found himself standing in. "Oh?" Naruto questioned. "What am I doing here? Can't I just die without you ruining my afterlife too?" Naruto, Orochimaru, spoke seriously. "If you don't save yourself, then Sasuke and eventually Sakura will die." "Old age does that, you immortality-obsessed bastard," Naruto countered. "No!" he shouted, pinching the bridge of his nose, shaking his head. "No, the Akatsuki are strong, stronger than Itachi was by a lot, I've met them. The leader is a Rinnegan wielder." Naruto rose his eyebrow. "Wasn't that a myth?" He shook his head. "I've seen it, and it's quite terrifying," he spoke. "They want to destroy the world, and Konoha is part of that world. Sasuke and Sakura can't beat them." "They're stronger than you think," Naruto said, narrowing his eyes at the dead man. "Then why'd you leave to protect them?" Naruto opened his mouth, but closed it, not having a counter for that. "You aren't done yet. Until there is nobody who can beat Sasuke and Sakura, they will always be in danger. You have to be alive to protect them." Realization dawned upon Naruto's face as he saw that Orochimaru was right. They still needed to be protected. "Good, now go save yourself so you can save both of our asses." Kyuubi shouted angrily before Naruto found himself back in the real world. The sound of a sword slicing the air filled his ears. Naruto rolled forward, the sword hitting the wood where he had just been, jumping up in the air, flipping before landing on a lamppost in the middle of a crowd, breaking the cuffs on him before peeling off several of the chakra suppressors, and throwing them to the ground, the feeling of his chakra returning. "Sorry, but I have to destroy the Akatsuki first," Naruto shouted as he made a single-hand seal. A few dozen sharp spikes of wood coming from the ground, impaling and killing several civilians before bombs across Konoha began going off, a clap of thunder echoing the air. Naruto's eyes widened. "Okay, that wasn't me," he yelled. "It was me," a dark voice shouted as someone stood on another lamppost, wearing a plain black cloak as he stood, peering down on everyone who had avoided death. He then looked at Naruto. "It looks like you do not need saving," Naruto shrugged. "Whatever, I don't mind the help." Tsunade glared at Naruto, pointing at him. "Kill them both." Several Anbu rushed them both. Naruto looked at his aider. "May I get a name?" "Call me Toby." He spoke in a deep voice, before several civilians turned into white humanoid creatures with green hair as they began killing everyone in sight. Then, a group appeared on a building next to the lamp post where Naruto stood, all four of them wearing similar black cloaks as Toby did. "We made it in time," Suigetsu said with a grin. Karen, Suigetsu, Yugo, and Kabuto had come to save Naruto, bringing a smirk to the teen's eyes. "Good, well, I guess I can have fun before I fulfill my next goal," he said, standing up completely straight and looking at Tsunade's eyes, sucking the Anbu up in a Kamui with his Manjiku Sharingan shining. "Let's burn Konoha to the ground then, shall we?" Naruto ducked under an Anbu's sword swipe and punched him in the stomach, causing the Anbu to double over before lightning sparked across Naruto as he suddenly threw out his hands as black flames killed multiple Anbu and civilians alike before he clenched his hands into fists as he jumped into the air and sent lightning down towards another grouped-up bunch of ninja and civilians, frying them instantly. "Naruto!" Sasuke shouted in anger. "Stop this madness!" Naruto looked at his friend and shook his head. "No, I will not." Naruto suddenly ducked as a Chidori from Sakura flew over his head. "The old Naruto is dead, Sasuke. We need to let go of our childhood friend and kill this monster." Naruto didn't even flinch, he just met her emerald green eyes before a single hand sign caused a wall to appear in between them as Naruto disappeared in a blue flash, appearing behind her and slamming her head into the wall, disorienting her. "Sorry, Sakura-chan," he whispered, turning to Sasuke, the war between a bunch of white humanoid figures and ninja alike surrounding them. "She loved you, you know that, right?" Naruto shook his head. No, she loved the old me. The me that would let people I cared about die. I've changed, Sasuke. Naruto brought out his sword, Sasuke doing the same before they charged each other, battling ferociously in kenjutsu, sparks flying around them as they were equally matched. I won't lose to you. Sasuke roared as his Sharingan shifted into the Manjika, shocking Naruto before he had to jump back, a blade of Amaterasu in Sasuke's hand daring to touch him. How do you have those cursed eyes? Naruto hissed, worry burrowing into his heart. When you left, I gained these eyes, Sasuke spoke before a purple chakra began surrounding him, a large purple chakra humanoid encasing him, a bow in its hand. Now, let me see the real Naruto. The chakra arm pulled back as an arrow that was encased in lightning was ready to be shot. Naruto smirked. I see, well then, I guess I'm going to have to use my own then, right? A gray chakra enveloped Naruto, but this Susanoo was much more developed, standing on its 2 feet as 2 wings sprouted from his back, completely covered in armor as a dagger and a chakra rod were in each hand, Naruto standing in the head of Susanoo, being able to see the village clearly. Death. That's all he saw. Death. This was Kakashi's village, wasn't it? His father's and mother's village? Shisui's village? Why was he destroying it? Was it really part of his goal? To protect Sasuke and Sakura? No, he was hurting them. He always hurt them. He was the poison in their lives. Everyone stop fighting. He screamed at the top of his lungs, using his chakra to enhance his voice. Almost immediately, the leaf stopped fighting against everyone else, everyone looking at Naruto with confusion. If you are not part of the leaf, then leave. He shouted. I don't want any more bloodshed because of me. Go home, stop fighting. Ahahahaha. Toby began laughing as he appeared on the Susanoo's shoulder, laughing hysterically. Hee, you think you're in a position of power? I used you so I could attack the leaf. With Itachi out of the way and everyone in one place, I can exact my revenge. Naruto's eyes widened. What do you mean? Toby laughed some more before answering. Itachi was forced to destroy the Uchiha clan. He threw his life away for the Leaf Village, killed his own clan to prevent a coup d'etat. You're lying, Sasuke shouted, aiming the arrow at Toby now. There's no way. You don't have to believe me, but it's the truth. He then turned to Naruto. And Itachi didn't even kill Shisui Uchiha. Danzo Shimura, one of the elders of Konoha, used his underground route to kill and steal one of Shisui's Sharingan. Itachi just wanted you and Sasuke to be friends so you would have someone in this world filled with despair. No, that would explain why Shisui was acting weird when Naruto had said Itachi had killed Shisui. It's not true, it's not true. That's impossible. Had he killed an innocent man? Had he really painted such a horror-driven painting of Itachi Uchiha? But it sounds as if you believe me, huh Naruto? How about we destroy the leaf together, and then we can take the beast out of you, okay? Naruto froze as he turned his head to Toby, who was grinning under his mask. We? Several explosions rippled through Konoha as several people ran around, killing everything in sight, all of them wearing black cloaks with red clouds littering them. Akatsuki, Naruto whispered in awe and shock. What are they doing here? I ordered them here, of course, Toby spoke maniacally. I'm the leader after all. Naruto's eyes widened as he deactivated his Susanoo, not being able to move, shock filling his system. This world shall know pain. The one with the weird eyes shouted as he began floating into the air. Almighty push. Everything was still, no one spoke, no one fought, they just looked at the flying man with awe before a large wind spread across the village, before the center of the village suddenly exploded as the buildings were swept away, taking several enemies and allies with them. Naruto's eyes widened as he suddenly grabbed Sasuke and Sakura in an instant and encased them within his Susanoo, the debris flying over them and making Naruto grit his teeth as he felt his Susanoo stressed to the limit. Naruto, what's going on? Sasuke asked. Naruto grimaced as he began healing Sakura. The wound on her forehead disappears. The Akatsuki are here, this is the final battle. The vibrations through the ground had stopped, and the dust had lifted up. Naruto deactivated his Susanoo and the three began walking forward. What the hell, is he a god? Sakura asked as she limped a little, surveying the destruction of her village, it being completely gone, reduced to rubble. No, just a man, Naruto spoke as he eyed the man who had done this. I will take care of him. He then saw the rest of the Akatsuki members, recognizing them all. Kakuzu, Haiden, Pain, Konan, Deidara, Zetsu, Kisame, and Tobi. He looked back at them and grinned, closing his eyes. I'll take care of them all, catch your breath. Then, a hand swiped his face, a loud smacking sound echoing throughout the crater they now stood in. It was Sakura, tears flowing out of her eyes as Sasuke just watched. You idiot, stop this. Stop this self-destruction, I hate you so much, but I love you so much too, it hurts when I see you like this, her green eyes shut as she shouted. So just let us help you. We're Team 7 damn it. Naruto's dark blue eyes widened before a tiny smile appeared on his face, nodding. As you wish, he turned around and saw Suigetsu, a slightly injured Karen, Kabuto, and Yugo, standing in front of them, determined looks on their face. We follow you, Naruto-sama. Spoke Kabuto. You lead the way, we will help you. The rest nodded in agreement as Naruto grinned. Good, it's the 7 of us against those bastards, we can do it. He palmed his fist before Karen offered her arm. Bite down, I know you're still a bit worn out from the fight, it'll heal you and replenish your chakra. Naruto looked at her with worried eyes. Are you sure? She clenched her eyes shut, nodding quickly. Just do it. Naruto shrugged and bit down, just hard enough to draw blood, making Karen wince. Instantly, Naruto felt 10 times better. Thank you, Karen. He then drew his sword as he faced Akatsuki once again, lightning scattering across his body. Sasuke, you haven't gotten rusty on me, have you? Sasuke shook his head at his best friend's words, stepping forward to join Naruto, lightning sparking across his body, making Naruto grin at the realization that Sasuke mastered the Kyuubi. I'm offended you would think that. His Sharingan activated as a surge of chakra poured out of both teens, their fists connecting in a fist bump. Let's go, Naruto. The two disappeared in flash, leaving the other 5 behind. What monsters, Kabuto chuckled, pushing his glasses further on in his face. Always ready for a fight. Whatever, let's go help him, okay? I can't let Naruto get too far ahead of me, Suigetsu said, holding Zabuza's old sword in his hand. Let's go. Sakura shouted before they rushed as well. Naruto jumped over one of Kakuzu's fireballs, clashing against Haiden's scythe before disappearing from view as he kicked Kakuzu in the head, sending him back a few yards before flipping back to avoid dozens of paper shurikens from hitting him. Haiden rushed Naruto, swinging his scythe with precision and skill before he disarmed Naruto, the teen's sword flying into the air, only to be caught by Sasuke as Naruto kicked Haiden's legs out from under him and Sasuke piercing Haiden in the head, lightning flowing out of the sword and frying the man's brain and making him no longer useful, brain dead. Sasuke! Naruto shouted as Sasuke ducked, a spear of lightning piercing Kisame's chest. Sasuke sunk into the ground and emerged right behind Kisame, Naruto's blade piercing the shark-like man's skull as he flopped to the ground. Rockets flew at Naruto, one of the paths from pain as Naruto and Sasuke dodged, explosions rippling in the air as the heat could be felt from Naruto and Sasuke. Suddenly, 2 dragons made of earth and water spiraled towards Naruto and Sasuke, who both activated Susanoo just in time as it crashed into their avatars, protecting them both. On your right! Suigetsu shouted as a wave of water passed Naruto and Sasuke before encasing Konan, making all of her paper jutsu useless. Suigetsu appeared from the water as he tried to slice Konan in half, but Pain stopped it with a chakra rod, appearing to not have difficulty with repelling Suigetsu's attack. What the Suigetsu began but was hurled back. Then, explosions appeared where Sakura was, But Kunoichi avoided them expertly, fighting Deidara, who was practically spamming clay bombs from his handmouths. Karen and Yugo were fighting Zetsu, demolishing the man who could only evade and not attack, not having any powerful attacks in his arsenal. Sasuke, get the paper bitch, I'll get pain. Naruto shouted. Sasuke nodded as they separated, for the time being, fighting their respective opponents before a blast of wind knocking Sasuke to the side. Naruto cursed before he quickly flashed behind Kakuzu and lit him on fire with an Amaterasu, killing him in 2 seconds. Don't forget about me. Tobi shouted as he kneed Naruto in the stomach and throwing him to the side. Several missiles threatened to blow Naruto up, but the blonde just easily evaded them all as he jumped forward and grasped Pain by the head and slammed him down, heat rising off of his body. Shit, cursed Tobi as he backed up. Pain's paths surrounded Naruto, each one ready to attack, but the blonde only looked at his hand, the Byakuya Sharingan no longer in his eyes, but a Rinnegan with 6 tomos, 3 on the first 2 inner lines. The Rinnegan, interesting, he turned to Tobi. I heard it has gravity manipulation, is that true? He held his hand out and squeezed, Pain's paths suddenly being crushed instantaneously, blood and parts spread as to where they once stood. Cool, he turned to Konan, who was sending paper bombs at Sasuke in endless hordes and lifted his hand up. Universal, pull. He murmured, his tone filled with excitement as he saw her come closer to him, the unknown force pulling her towards the teen. He grabbed her by the throat and her eyes widened when she met his own. Impossible. She got out before her neck was completely crushed under Naruto's grip. He saw the rest of the members fighting and easily killed them with the snap of his finger, breaking their necks or making them explode. He then began laughing. Geez, this is awesome, why couldn't I get this earlier? He said as he walked towards Tobi, the power coursing through his veins. Are you ready to die, Tobi? Don't think this is over, Naruto Uzumaki. It's Namikaze, you masked fuck. Naruto shouted as he tried to use his gravity manipulation to pull Tobi, but failed as Tobi vanished in a swirling vortex. Naruto let out a long, heavy sigh as he saw on the ground that was once Konoha, a small smirk on his face. We won, he'll be back, but for now, we won. Sasuke grinned as he plopped down next to his best friend. Yes, we did. That Tobi guy doesn't stand a chance. You guys know that everyone in the village is probably dead, right? Suigetsu began, sarcasm lacing his voice as he glared lazily at Naruto. Don't act as if everything is all fine and dandy. Naruto's eyes widened momentarily before grinning. I got this. He stood up, clasping his hands together as his purple Rinnegan glowed slightly, the roots of his hair turning white as a large gate erupted from the ground. Naruto, Sakura began. What are you doing? My gut is telling me this is what I have to do. I'm reviving everyone who was killed here. He shouted as blue chakra began surrounding him, spinning like a tornado before he yelled. Rinnery birth. He screamed at the top of his lungs as blue objects shot out of the gate, restoring life to everyone who had died during the attack. By now, Naruto's hair was snow white, and he was panting and on one knee, grasping to put air in his lungs. Naruto, Karen whispered in awe. You saved everyone, I can feel their chakra. She exclaimed. Naruto laughed a little as he stood up, leaning on Sasuke, who rushed to help the exhausted white-haired teen now. Good, I feel like I'm about to pass out, he whispered, a small grin on his face. Don't let me fall asleep, I want to see this through the end. What do you mean? Sakura began, putting a hand on the teen's shoulder, concern in her eyes. It's over, we can worry about Tobi later, now you need rest. Now you will die. A dark deep voice resonated through the air as Tobi appeared again, this time wearing a white mask with a glowing Rinnegan in one eye and the other eye a Manjiku Sharingan. A sword pierced Sakura's stomach as she lurched forward, blood coming out of her mouth as her eyes widened in horror, the pain of the burning sensation of steel cutting her open like this making her unable to scream, stunned. Sakura! Naruto screamed as he rushed Tobi, who only chuckled as a vortex appeared in front of him, larger than the rest. I will destroy Konoha, and you too, Naruto Namikaze. Die! Thousands upon thousands of completely amped up paper bombs began flying out, sticking to everything it could, mostly the broken buildings in rubble. It approached the group quickly and Naruto put his hand out as a bubble-like barrier appeared between the paper bombs and the rest of the broken-down Konoha. Save her, Karen! Karen didn't hesitate as she forced Sakura to bite into her multiple times, not even wincing as the bites left several bleeding marks. Sakura nodded weakly as she stood up, ready to fight along with the rest of the group. I'm using all of my chakra to stop the bombs from going everywhere and to stop them from exploding. Naruto shouted from inside the gravity control, paper bombs flying everywhere around him as he looked back. I can't hold it for much longer. Naruto, get out of there! Sasuke screamed. Naruto-sama! Kabuto shouted in panic. I don't have another Rinnery birth in me, guys, Naruto spoke just loud enough. If I drop this barrier, if I go through it, everyone will die. Orochimaru appeared by Naruto's side, though only the blonde could see him. Is this the way it ends, Naruto? He asked curiously. Naruto nodded. This is the way it has to end, he replied as he grit his teeth, sweat pouring down his face as he heard Tobi's maniacal laughter. Naruto, we can't lose you. Sakura screamed, crying hysterically. Not again. Naruto's Rinnegan eyes glowed golden for a second as trees began surrounding the gravity barrier, his eyes bulging as the veins could be seen, crystals forming around his feet as several shadows appeared next to him. All of the bloodlines he's ever copied. Sasuke whispered in awe. He's giving it his all now. Ag! Naruto screamed in pain as he was running on empty, barely holding on. Suddenly, Sasuke and Sakura appeared in a green meadow, bright blue skies above them as the sun shined down brightly upon them. They saw Naruto standing in the field a couple of feet away, looking away from them. But he was a child, no older than 6 years old. They were children, too, they realized. What is this? Sakura asked, surprising herself with her own high-pitched voice. A goodbye, Naruto spoke as he turned around, grinning brightly. What do you mean, a goodbye? Sasuke said as he walked forward along with Sakura. We're finally together again. Naruto let out the laughter of pure happiness, shocking both Sasuke and Sakura. He ran towards them and jumped, sticking out his hand to Sasuke, who looked at it weirdly. What? Remember? We shake now. Our goals are over with, now we shake. Sasuke's eyes widened as he realized the truth behind Naruto's words. He realized Naruto was going to die. With tears in his eyes, he shook Naruto's hand firmly, trying his best not to let the tears fall. Okay, was all he could get out, his throat clenched. Naruto turned to Sakura, grinning. I always liked your forehead, it's charming. He said as he kissed her on it, causing her eyes to widen. He liked her insecurity. But why? He grabbed both of them with one arm and pulled them into a hug. Shocked, but a pleasant shock, Sasuke and Sakura hugged Naruto back as the blonde boy spoke. I love you both so much, thank you for everything you've done for me. He said happily as he hugged them tighter, tears gathering in his eyes as Sasuke freely wept now, along with Sakura who cried into Naruto's shirt. Naruto pulled away, his eyes closed as he smiled, Kakashi and Shisui appearing in the distance. Well guys, I have to go. We'll see each other again one day, believe it. Then, they were in the real world. Naruto! Sasuke and Sakura shouted as the bombs exploded, the wood and crystals keeping them from reaching the outside of the barrier, reinforcing the gravity. After what seemed like minutes, the vibrations stopped as well as the explosions. Karen collapsed to her knees, crying. He's gone, Naruto's gone. Gone, he's gone, was all she could say over and over again. Sasuke, completely numb, walked forward as he saw no corpse, no bones, nothing. He sank to his knees as he felt something hard. His eyes widened as he stood up and dug a little, only to find a headband from the hidden leaf, a scratch running straight through it. Naruto's headband. He looked up into the sky and let out a cry of pure sadness and anguish, letting it all out as tears flowed down his face in rivers, his brother gone from existence. Sakura only watched as she was in shock, just tears flowing steadily down her cheeks as she watched with wide eyes. Naruto was gone. Their Naruto was gone. Naruto Namikaze was dead. A man dressed in a long-sleeved blue shirt and gray pants with a black tunic covering most of his body stopped in front of a grave, his graying black hair covering a dark purple eye with several circles around it with 6 tomos, and the other eye was a dark gray, a dullness in them as it looked sadly down upon the grave. "I'm back," he whispered. "Again. It's been a few years this time, almost 23 if I'm correct." The man sat down on the ground, sitting crisscrossed as he lit 4 candles and set them upon the gravestone, one on each side, and the other 2 at another grave sitting next to the other. "Happy birthday, Naruto," Sasuke Uchiha whispered. "I hope you're having a good day with Sakura." Sakura Haruno died 2 weeks after Naruto had died. Apparently, her heart just couldn't take it and it failed her, killing her in 2 minutes flat. He was all alone. No wife, no children, no friends. Alone. And that hurt. A lot. A quick Edo Tensei and a Rinari birth would bring you both back, but I feel as if you both wouldn't be too happy about that. A low chuckle erupted from his throat as he coughed a little bit. "I've explored the world, I've seen new things, but it would have been better with both of you here." He shut his eyes as he went still. "I miss you both terribly." He took a deep breath and stopped moving, his chest no longer moved, a small smile on his face. Sasuke opened his eyes and saw Naruto and Sakura, arm in arm as they smiled at the Uchiha. "It's about time," Sakura shouted happily. "We've been waiting for a long time." Naruto grinned at his friend. "Welcome home, Sasuke." Sasuke closed his eyes, a smile on his face. "It's been a while, Naruto, Sakura." He opened his eyes, they grayness shining. "Let's catch up then, shall we?" Naruto nodded. "Of course, let's talk." And thus concludes the tragedy of Naruto Uzumaki. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this what if, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. It really means a lot. Peace.